All right, we are live. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone, to EduMatch Tweet and Talk number 55. We're talking Snapchat and education. So follow along with us on Google Plus at bit.ly/tweettalk55, as well as on Twitter with the hashtag EduMatch. Speaking of EduMatch, if you want to be the featured person of the day, then please visit our website at edumatch.org where you can sign up, and we will definitely help get you all connected with great educators all around the world. So I wanted to give a huge shout out to everyone who was in participation yesterday for EdCamp EduMatch. We had a great time, and stay tuned because at the end of this episode, we are going to do the giveaways. So it's going to be great. So definitely wanted to welcome you all one more time. And tonight's topic, once again, is Snapchat in education. So we have two awesome moderators, Jennifer Casa-Todd and Stacy Lovdahl, as well as a fantastic panel. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it right on over to Stacy.
Hey everybody, I'm so excited to be here and to be talking about Snapchat in education. And a quick little note about myself. I think that we're gonna have a quick little intro, right? So we'll kind of go down the line and just say, who we are, and then get right into it. So I am 14 years middle school science, where I think that Snapchat is probably a pretty popular thing with middle school kids. Regardless of terms of service, don't tell anybody. And now I'm an instructional technology coordinator for 5 schools: middle, elementary, high school, and early college. So let's go down the line to let's jump down to Jennifer CT, and then jump around, and just pass it down the line.
Thank you, Stacy. Excited to be co-moderating with you, for sure. My name is Jennifer Casa-Todd. I am former literacy consultant and soon-to-be teacher librarian starting September. Very excited about that. I'm also doing my master's on social media and education. So I've been doing lots of studying on the impact of social media in education, and Snapchat certainly is a hot topic right now. So very excited to be here. And I know that I'm on Snapchat with my daughters. I'm using them as my guinea pigs to learn all about the platform. So that's a little bit about me.
And next, let's go down to, is that Dean right next to you?
Hi, I'm Dean Dahl. I'm a 6th grade science teacher in Edina, Minnesota. Entering my 23rd year of teaching, and I love using Snapchat. It is so much fun, and a nice way to connect with my 11 and 12-year-olds, even though I guess they're now old enough to use it. They are using it though, and also with my family.
And I'm sorry about that, Jahmeelah, I skipped over you. I think my boxes went blank, or maybe they switched, so you're up. Jahmeelah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
do you
can
want to
hear
take
you.
a sec to give a quick intro?
My name is Jahmeelah Gamble. I'm from Toronto. I'm a TV host, community educator, specializing in special education. Been in the field for 15 years now, but teaching for 6. So I use Snapchat quite a bit for just my personal brand, but I also use it with my special needs students to develop expressive language.
And next up, Dan.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan Kreiness. I am a middle school instructional coach in Connecticut. Before that was middle school ELA. Been teaching now 10 years, and enjoy definitely introducing Snapchat for some different elements of education.
And Kimberly.
Hey everybody, I'm Kimberly Howell Martin. I'm a media specialist in Daytona Beach, Florida in K-5. Don't know how much I would use Snapchat with elementary level, but it's worth looking at. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, that's great. We have an awesome amount of diversity on our panel in terms of just experience and grade levels and backgrounds. So, Jennifer, do you want to kick off question 2?
Absolutely, and we do invite you, if you have a favorite filter on Twitter, to throw that in there. We'd love to hear your ideas about your favorite filters. But we'll start with question 2, which is, what tips would you give to someone who is new to Snapchat? And we'll start with you, Kimberly.
Okay, just speaking from experience, I am relatively new to Snapchat. Like you, Jennifer, I use it with my daughters. They're up in Tennessee. I'm down here in Florida, so sometimes it's the fastest and easiest way for us to communicate and make funny faces at each other. But the thing that helped me the most was to actually read the help documents that Snapchat had put out, because people would mention lenses or filters, and I would say, I don't know how to use those. But I pulled up the documents and boom, it was there, and it was easy to figure out after that. So, definitely use the help documents so you don't nerd out like I did and not know what to do.
Fantastic, good advice. Dean, what tips do you have?
The biggest thing is don't be afraid of it, and I think it especially connects to the middle school age of what you're thinking about quick, and you're putting out there, and you think about students and how quickly they see something, they want to share it. Adults can do the same thing, and I love Snapchat stories to share. When I go somewhere, to share a trip with my family or something, it's almost like you're there with them. So it's pretty cool.
So you picked up on that, the immediacy piece, but also that we need to model risk-taking and learning with our students. Thank you so much. And Dan, what did you wanted to add to this?
Well, I think 2 things. Just to piggyback off of what Dean said, I think educationally speaking, my advice to teachers who might want to try it in the classroom would be, like he said, don't be afraid of it, but also just to understand that there are good uses for it, or could potentially be good uses for it, and that it doesn't have to be this negative thing that people might think that it is. And then as far as personal use, I would recommend to everybody to do what I did at first, which was to find who to follow. Like I'm not well, I guess I am kind of a pop culture, so I followed celebrities who were good at using Snapchat, so I could kind of learn how to be better at Snapchat. And I just thought that was a good way to jump in and find out kind of how to use it by watching other people use it.
That's really great advice. So that who to follow piece, right? Watching people do it well. And I think, just to add to what you said about, this opportunity, I think asking students, like we know the curriculum very well, students might have really positive or creative ideas for using it that we may not have even thought about. So I would add that as a tip. And I would also, in addition to the help documents, what really helped me is just playing with it, creating some of my own stories and practicing in the space, so I know what a filter is now, because I can do it. I've done it myself. So, Stacy, I'll throw it over to you for the next question. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so the next question we had was, how have you used Snapchat in your instructional practice? So we have a real wide variety of people here. Middle school, I would be in middle school science, but now I'm also lucky enough to go between buildings. So I have elementary, middle school, and high schools that I support. So where do you see using that in either in your classroom or with the teachers that you support? And I'm just going to kick it off by saying that we have the problems with terms of service and everything. Oh wait, let me flip back here though, because Jahmeelah, do you want to, before we go on to Q3, do you have some tips before we go on to the next question? I didn't mean to skip over you.
Yeah, just for tips. I like the idea of, obviously finding good people to find on Snapchat, but I also try to tell people not to do that, and encourage people to just, explore your creativity and your uniqueness, and to put it out there and kind of learn as you go. I use my Snapchat for both educational reasons and both for socially, just for my brand. And I find I've had great success in just putting out my content, my style, and I've had a lot of good feedback from that. So when I do it with my students, I really encourage them to be as creative and outgoing as possible. And then we tweak that into their snaps and we make a really good, fun story for them to enjoy.
I love that too. And the idea of being creative and not being afraid to just kind of be silly with it, because my first impression of Snapchat was super negative, right? It's just the total thing is pictures that disappear. There's for just some nefarious use, right? That's kind of the rap that Snapchat had up until maybe 6 months ago, and it started changing. And but then when I started using it, I saw it started to change, and I started seeing it as just this super cool creation tool with the lenses and the filters and the silly things that you could do with it. And but for me, I had to really kind of let go of that deal of putting these goofy lenses on that make your face look weird, or putting one eyeball in the middle of your face and all that kind of stuff, and just go with that. So you have, to a certain extent, you do have to kind of let yourself play with it and experiment with it and get to know how to use the tool itself. And then as you use it, you start to see ways that it can be applied in your classroom, or ways that it can be used in your building. But if you just kind of keep yourself standing outside it, looking in, sometimes that outside view, you can't really see it. You can't really see how to use it until you jump in and start just messing around and playing around with it. So maybe it's that tinker idea, that just get in there and mess around without a real absolute idea of where you're going to go with it, and just try it until you find out. Okay, so Q3, how do you see using this in your educational practice? And so in my job, and I'm going to start off with, in my job with going between buildings, one of the things that I started to see Snapchat being really super useful for, and I'm just like in love with this idea, is if my teachers and the principals that I support would let go of this idea of Snapchat being something for nefarious uses, and set up Snap accounts for either their classroom, almost like a classroom Twitter, right? Class Snapchat or building Snapchat account, and set it up as something that parents and older students don't market it for younger students to follow, and then just simply use it as a way for parents in the community to have a window into the classroom, a window into the building. And my whole deal with Snapchat is, since our parents and a lot of the community are already on Snapchat for personal use and everything, then why not let them follow the school account to get an idea of what's going on in school today, what's going on in the classroom today. And of course, you'd have to be careful with who you can snap and all of the things that we have to be careful about with privacy and kids and all that kind of stuff. But I guess for me, it falls under the umbrella of meeting people where they are to try to tell our stories and get all that good stuff that's going on in buildings out there to our parents and our community. And who should I pass it to next? Jahmeelah?
See, what I love about panels like this is usually I'm the only person whose background's in special education. I'm assuming I am. Maybe some other people on the panel are involved too, but I work primarily with students who have autism. I had one student this year who was partially nonverbal. Her language is very limited, and through using Snapchat, it highly reinforced and motivated her to want to use the filters and use a different lens to express herself. So she loved reading stories. She would act out different characters because of the need to always repeat things is something that some children with autism do. But when she was repeating these lines, she would find a filter that kind of applied to what she was acting as. And I saw a huge change in her speech and her personality as a whole. So what I did was I spoke to her parents and I go, I know that, you know, she's 5. And there is an age on Snapchat, and it's my private Snap. It's not a classroom Snapchat. But I didn't add her snaps to my personal story. I just saved it onto my actual phone so I could show it to parents. But it was very successful in how she was able to kind of articulate herself and role play and use different tones of voice and have the different filters. So it really did bring out her character.
That is so cool, and that is such an unexpected, like, who would know that? I'm so glad. That is so awesome that you shared that. Dean, do you have a use that you would like to share?
Yes, we did a decomposition project where we were burying items, organic, non-organic. I did a snap story, and then at the end of the class day, I downloaded it to my device, which then in turn downloaded it to Google Photos. So I could share that link of what was going on with all 4 of my sections, and then fast forward, we buried the stuff in September and then dug it up in May. And now we had an active link, so not only images, but as we were digging and burying in our items. So the story created some new energy of, oh yeah, now I remember what it was. Also, I was fortunate to chaperone on a 9th grade field trip to DC, and I did the same thing every day, where we were going, what we were doing, downloaded the story, and then I shared that link with parents back home. And as you said very well, it was such a nice way to give parents a window into a field trip, into a retreat, into your classroom.
That's awesome. Thanks, Dean. Dan, what do you have to add for your instructional uses?
So when I was given that advice before about following celebrities, one of the things that I've seen done a few times is where an account is given over to someone to quote-unquote take over that Snapchat for the day. Sometimes, like, Jimmy Fallon will do that, and one of his guests for the day when they're taping will do that. And so I think it's a really cool thing for teacher or classroom accounts to be given over to the students so that students can take over that account, you know, probably in school, and they can showcase the work that they've been doing, projects that have been going on in the classroom. And I can also see uses for, likewise, the teachers to take over, let's say, a school account. You know, still in 2016, isolation is a very big problem where teachers don't know what's happening in other teachers' classrooms, and it's really sad. But if the school or teachers themselves had Snapchat accounts and used it to film or snap pictures or videos of what's happening in their classroom, then other people might be able to not only see and just, you know, be enlightened by what's going on, but actually learn a few things, or you know, get some ideas out of it.
That is so true, and it's such an easy way to break down those walls between just even inside the building. That's really true. Kimberly, do you have some instructional uses that you could see?
Okay, hopefully I unmuted. I put in the chat that I would like to see teachers at my school. I mean, again, we're elementary, so I don't know that encouraging our students to set up accounts when they're underage would be such a great idea, but having us use Snapchat during professional development and sharing ideas and creating a story around that professional development, because, you know, not everybody wants to share their ideas out loud, but through Snapchat, you know, some genius in the room could come up with something that we could all benefit from.
And can I just add to what you just said, Kim? With regards to the idea that kids are too young to have Snapchat, well, we know that a lot of really young kids, like as young as 7, are using it, but certainly the terms of condition prohibit us as educators from using it. But I think it's really vital that we, what Dan was saying about the class account and having kids take over, I think the more we use a guided approach in our classrooms with the use of social media, Students are learning about the tools in context under the guidance of a teacher, and I think those digital citizenship, I'm going to put that in air quotes, lessons are so much more valuable because they're authentic, they're happening in the moment. And so as long as we communicate with parents that this is what we're doing, that it's a class account, and this is why we want to do it, I think using it for PD will allow our teachers to feel more comfortable with it, and using it in our classrooms will allow our students to feel more comfortable with it, and so that we can engage in those crucial conversations that we need to engage in. So I just wanted to throw that in because I think it's very, very important. And Dan has to go.
And a lot of times we think about our digital tools as, the flipped classroom, giving the quietest kid in the room a voice. And I love the idea that you shared, Kim, of using it with teachers and PD and giving teachers a voice, because a lot of times we all have that one staff member who always has something to say and maybe kind of takes over the conversation. And I can definitely see where this could be a tool to give the quieter teachers who maybe have something valuable to contribute but just don't speak up a way to get those ideas out. It's also an awesome way to curate, just get everything into a snap story so that you capture all of the ideas in the room in some place where everybody can go back and see it. And I know in our buildings everybody can't attend after school meetings, and sometimes we've attempted to make a video of after-school staff meetings, and those are just about the most awful things to have to watch. If you're the coach who has to watch the after-school video of the staff meeting, it's like, oh my gosh. But a snap story that just captures the most important events would be a really cool thing to watch. I could totally see that. So, that's another thing where, I love that you shared that. Thank you. So question 4 coming up. Jennifer?
All right, so question 4 is, and I think we've already touched upon this a little bit, and that is, what do educators need to keep in mind when using Snapchat? So I think we've already touched on the terms of use, the fact that it's supposed to be for 13 and under. So if you're using it in a guided way in the classroom, parents need to know that you are, and that ultimately, even though the students are creating the snaps, the teacher needs to be the one who sort of sends them, kind of thing. It has to be guided. But are there any other things, Jahmeelah, do you want to respond to that one?
So I learned this the hard way. I was snapping one morning with my student who has autism. It was our morning routine. And that day, I did not pre-check the filters. And so she gets really excited to kind of swipe through all the filters and see them on her face. And one day there was like a horror movie filter that was, they were advertising for a movie that was coming out, as Snapchat does do. Sometimes there's sponsored filters from whether it's an alcohol company, a movie company, a show that's coming up, whatever. This was a horror movie filter. So when it touched her face and like this ghost goblin thing jumped out, she just about had a heart attack. Did not prepare for that. So it's a good thing before allowing your students to jump on Snapchat, just to have a quick look of the filters, make sure that they're appropriate for the day. And if the filters have maybe 1 or 2 that aren't appropriate, maybe it should just be a non-filter day and just use the lenses instead. So fast forward, reverse, slow-mo, super fast, and just stay away from the filters. So that would be my tip, lesson learned.
So I love that. I wonder too, just to add to that, because I know something negative recently happened to me on social media on a different platform, but so just in case you didn't do that, which you should have done, I think it's really important as a teacher that your response to that is not one where you start to be frantic and concerned and nervous, but that you take a deep breath and say, oh, that was really inappropriate, we need to talk about this, or you just not let it go so that these kids, and I'm sure you did that in a really positive way, Jahmeelah, but I think we need to really make sure that if something like that happens in the moment, as it may happen with the use of social media, that we just take a deep breath, we calmly and calmly, I think is the most important term, right? Calmly, lovingly, empathetically make sure that we're there to help students through it, because they're going to be at home encountering those things, and they'll be by themselves. So at least in a supportive environment like a classroom, we can help them through it.
And just to add to that, I use it as a really good example, moment to talk about emotions. So I asked her, how did that make you feel? Were you scared? Were you happy? Did you like it? Did you not like it? And again, that's all that expressive language coming out, that she was able to go, I do not like it, all finished. And I go, thank you for communicating that. We will not use that filter again. But oddly enough, 2 weeks later, she was all about the scary filters. So she got that exposure to the one time, and then she thought it was the funniest thing. But with the rest of the students I do work with, we use it as a really good tech conversation. The good and the bad to social media and technology. There's going to be scary things. What do you do when that scary thing is? Do you keep it to yourself? Do you talk to your parents? Do you talk to a teacher? It's a great learning opportunity for something that might seem a little bit at the time.
So important. Thank you so much. Dean, did you want to jump in on that question?
Yeah, just sharing quickly, and again, back to the window into your classroom through the parents' eyes. This was the first time this had happened this year, where I had parents come to me at the end of the year, and they said, normally I see you a couple conference times in open house, a very formal setting. He just said, thank you for letting me and my wife into your classroom, because even though we weren't there every day, we felt like we knew you. And just your personality and like some of my dumb quirks, they were able to make a better connection and build some trust, which opened doors for certain students, I feel.
Thank you, Dean. That's really, really, really important too, isn't it? There's an increased disconnect between the parents and the students, and I think that it's almost a digital divide that's getting bigger and bigger. And what you've done is you've limited that divide in so many ways by allowing your parents and kids insight into your classroom. So thank you. And Kim, did you have something to add?
Hold on. I think you all have covered it quite nicely. About the only other thing that I would add, again, speaking from an elementary perspective, is, make sure that if you're using it with students, have a plan as far as how you're going to be using it, and make sure your parents know the plan. If nothing else, have it in writing and maybe put it on your website, or have it ready to go in case anyone asks. You can hand them a copy of it and say, this is how we're using social media with students. If you're not comfortable, let us know, and we'll make sure that your child's face is not on there. I try to do everything from behind the students, over their shoulder kinds of things anyway, but, just in case, you just want to make sure to have it mapped out for parents.
Definitely, thank you. And I think the fact that it disappears too, the stories are not there, and I know some people have a problem with that, right? But in some ways, just capturing a story, having it disappear, it doesn't make it as permanent as some of the other things where we're as concerned with those things. Certainly, Kimberly, though, we need to talk to our parents and have a plan. Absolutely, we have to do that when we're using anything. And I'm just going to save this for another day, but that Instagram now has stories, and so there may be some teachers who are taking these ideas and saying, I'm not ready for Snapchat yet, but maybe I can incorporate some of these ideas and use Instagram because perhaps I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with that tool. But I think all in all, what you've all shown me anyway is that there are so many powerful and positive opportunities to use this tool as long as we're using it thoughtfully and responsibly, but I think that applies for everyone. Yep. So, Stacy, I'm not sure if you wanted to wrap up, but I want to say thank you on behalf of me for pushing my learning and providing all these wonderful examples, and to Dan, who had to leave as well.
I learned something from every single one of these, and I just think that the ideas you guys shared are just awesome. And just the Snapchat Voxer group that we've been in was where I learned how to do it. Because if I had not gotten involved with you guys in this setting, I would have stayed in the group of people that just thought Snapchat was just some nefarious thing that had no useful no useful purpose. And then, hearing from Jahmeelah about how it has helped her EC students, and that's just, and I've got 4 buildings that have EC teachers in them, and I am going to be able in 2 weeks, or I am going to walk around to these, I'm going to tell them your story. So, by being here, you're going to affect 4 buildings worth of people. So I'm just so thankful that I get to participate in this kind of thing. So thank you so much.
And for that student, let me add, now she knows how to maneuver through Snapchat. So she knows how to pick her filter, add text. Oh, there you go. Sentence structure, all of those things, because you could type your words. So she types her sentence. I'm dancing to music. She's out of control. I need to cut her off.
Yeah, and just the idea that she was the other part of your story too, about encountering something scary and then being able to process it and then come back to it and be successful. I mean, just just the whole thing. And there's no way, I never in a million years would have known that. And so, not only is Snapchat, just the whole thing have a use, and this whole thing has gotten me over that, but then finding out uses beyond my my limited experience is just great. So love it, love it, love it, love it. You guys are awesome.
Yay!
Yay!
All right. Thank you all so much for this awesome conversation. So definitely wanted to thank our 2 moderators, Jennifer and Stacy, as well as our panelists, Dean, Jahmeelah, Kim, and Dan, who had to step away. I know that, Jahmeelah, you said you're good till 6:30, so now it's 6:31. Definitely want to be mindful of your time, so thank you for having joined us.
Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So we are going to now... I know that a lot of people are watching because they're waiting to see who won who won the raffle from yesterday's Day of Learning that you all made great by attending it. So thank you to everyone who came and participated in EdCamp EduMatch. So we have a few prizes still left to give out, and I can say right now that you may be a winner. So let's find out. All right. So the very first prize that we were going to give out was the Breakout EDU kit. So we had some great submissions. The one that the organizers chose as their favorite was done by Emily Perez-Smith. So yay for Emily. And we do have 2 awesome runners-up that are also going to receive a prize for their awesome work on the digital breakout about connections and PLNs. Now, we also had a challenge about blogging about the experience to win EduBlogs or KidBlog Pro subscription. We have 2 winners for that. So, drum roll, please. So, our first winner happens to be on panel right now. So, Kim, congratulations for winning about the your choice of either an EduBlog subscription or a KidBlog subscription. And our second winner is Tammy Neal. So yay for Tammy. All right. So the third prize, this is a grand prize, which is actually, let me save that one for last. So another one that we were going to do is the News ELA one. We forgot to do it yesterday, so I'm going to actually share my screen right now, and we are going to raffle copter for it. So let's see here. Going to pick my screen to share my entire screen. Here we go. All right, so now the News ELA, going over here, and our winner for the News ELA Pro subscription is Rochelle. Yay, congratulations to Rochelle. Fantastic. All right, so I'm going to actually make note of that so that I remember who to give these prizes to. So Rochelle, won that one. Now, we also had another grand prize of creating an augmented reality introduction to EduMatch, and we had 2 winners for that as well. So, once again, we have the amazing Kim, who won a Makey Makey, yes, as well as Emily Smith. So, yay! All right, so that was another one of our grand prizes there. All right, so we also have a TechSmith bundle for people who created videos and submitted them to us. So we have one TechSmith bundle. I'm going to have to share my screen again. Now, we had it set up on Rafflecopter, but one of the challenges had technical difficulties and was not able to get through the Rafflecopter, so we're doing a random name picker. So here we go. Fingers crossed. Our winner is Heidi Carr. So congratulations to Heidi. And she is the winner of the TechSmith prize pack. So let me just put her name, Heidi Carr. All right. And now we have one more prize, the one that is still in the air. Ha ha ha. So that one went to the person who referred the most friends to be EduMatch Person of the Day. And that was for a $100 gift card to Amazon from our friends at Kidum. And the winner of that is Carletta Hurt. So congratulations, Carletta! Yay! So thank you all so much for participating and for joining us. We will definitely be in touch shortly within the next few days about the prizes. So winners, get ready to get contacted if you have not already been. And some of you we will need mailing addresses for, so definitely keep an eye out for that. So next week we're actually taking a week off of EduMatch, and we will be coming back the following week, which is the 21st, and we will be talking about to students about their take on minimizing classroom disruption. So if you have a student in your life, like a son, daughter, godkid, or whatever you have, brother, sister, who would like to be on panel, then please sign them up at bit.ly/tweettalk56. So we're looking for students grades pre-K all the way up to college. So feel free to sign them up. So thank you again. The Twitter archive will be sent out soon, and the iTunes podcast will be available in a few weeks. So definitely, if you want to be a panelist once again, then just leave a comment on the Google Hangout page, bit.ly/tweettalk56 for the next EduMatch episode in 2 weeks. All right, everyone, have a fantastic day, and thank you for joining us.